So, the question came up, what happens when you vent high? Basically, if you create an opening up high, you'll have more air to flow through. It's a great place to ventilate because all that hot air comes out. Because more hot air is flowing all the way through, you can support more fire on the inside. Remember, the actual fuel stays the same the entire time. The only thing we're changing is the ventilation. So whether you vent here, the opening's not quite as high. This is that unidirectional flow up the stairs, fire coming out the front. So anytime you have an opening higher than the fire, that's going to be your outlet. So when they vent high, the fire size gets much bigger, obviously. So the second scenario that we looked at was, can we get the fire to make that C shape all the way through, that flow path all the way through? So I'm going to go ahead and knock this fire, and we'll try that. So we're using that flow path to our advantage. Direct access to the seat of the fire. All that cold air is keeping us cool as we go in. You put the fire out throughout. So now we're going to look at the second scenario. Where they had the fire throughout the entire building. So we have air entrainment from below because the front door was open. And we're going to see if we can have that C shape of fire all the way through. From the top to the bottom. So we're going to light it off and see if there's no fuel in the stairwell, but it's all that buoyancy-driven flow. It's a fire extension.
So we're actually on the second and third floor?
What's that?
So we're on the second and third floor?
Yep, that's what you're looking at now. So we light it off. There's no opening at the top yet. So when we open now we have that flow path all the way throughout, and that's why the second, third floor flashed over so quickly, because all that energy stayed inside. Why did it stay inside? Because you have an opening above the fire. Whether the opening is here or whether the opening is here, you have that flow path going throughout. So all that energy stays inside the building. It's not bending to the outside. If you shut the door, you're limiting it to just that opening. So now you have that bidirectional flow we talked about. That's a good thing. You can't support a lot of fire because you have that bidirectional flow. It's inherently inefficient. Two flows competing for one opening. When you have that two openings, one high and one low, that's when you can support a lot of fire. The only thing we're changing is ventilation. This is why we break out every window in a house fire. If we don't put water in the fire, things are going to get a lot worse. It doesn't matter if it's wind-driven, PPV, or in this case it's buoyancy-driven. When the air moves past you at high velocities, your gear heats up a lot quicker. So, one last thing I wanted to show was what's been killing firefighters a lot. You guys experienced it in PG County. It's trying to make the stairs. And you well has realized that it's very, very difficult if you want to actually safely fight a basement fire. So what we're going to show is, in the San Francisco example, they made it halfway down the stairs. The basement was sealed. One window failed in the basement, and that flow changes from bidirectional to unidirectional. They're surrounded by orange. They didn't have time to open the hand line in their hands. It burned up. And we'll show you how quickly that can change. So we're going to limit the opening from one side. So essentially, when they arrived on scene, it was a ventilation-limited fire. They had some fire, but you have bidirectional flow, meaning you have two flows competing for one opening. So they're coming down the stairs, they have some fire, it's still manageable. The only thing that changes is the same thing from Cherry Lane in DC. The only thing that changes is somebody ventilated in the back. The window broke, so they have heat, but they're coming down the stairs and all of a sudden, somebody ventilates. And it changes just like that. It's a ventilation-limited fire, and that flow changes from bidirectional, two flows for one opening, the hot air coming up, the cold air is coming along the bottom, and all of a sudden, because you have an opening up high, as soon as that window fails, as soon as somebody ventilates, that's what they're met with in the stairwell. No time to push an orange button, no time to open the hand line, they're just surrounded by fire. That's what makes this scenario so dangerous, the basement fire scenario. The only thing we're changing is ventilation. Questions?